So it's time to tear down the layout. I know it's incomplete. It's about 50% done, maybe even less. And I've been working on it for a few years, but there's a lot of things that I don't like about it, I don't enjoy. And there are a lot of other reasons, which we'll go through today, that the layout just doesn't work. So the first one, and you've heard me complain about this in other videos, is the height. The height is nice to look at. It's great for viewing and stuff. You don't have to crouch. You don't have to lean over. It's in your face, and I really like it. And that's the main reason why I did it at this height. But I also wanted to use the storage underneath and maximize that, but that was a mistake. And the backdrop, which is about 30 inches back, is way too far. And it's why most of the front edge of the layout is finished, because it's a much more enjoyable spot to work. And the back I just avoid like the plague, and I just was miserable working and leaning over, hurting my back, and it's just no fun, and it just makes you not want to work on it. So the back is stagnant. It's some of it's done, but if you look at the back of the run here, I'll show you in a minute, it's very unfinished, and it's because of that distance and that overreach that just doesn't work. So another issue with the layout that's really kind of a pain in the neck are these steel columns, which are great because they're strong and they hold the ceiling and the lighting, and I've got a ton of storage above it, but they're in the way. I had envisioned wrapping each one with a structure, just 4 walls around it, and then just to sort of hide it, to take pictures of scenes like this, but you still have another 16 inches above it that is unavoidable. You could wrap it with a cloud backdrop, but it's still going to look like some weird tube coming out of your scene, and it's just in the way. And there's 4 of them that go down the length of the layout. So that's another very disappointing aspect of this layout that just drives me crazy. So, and when it gets like that, you're not going to work there. So you can see from here down is scenic, and from here over you can't see it, but it's scenic. But right here, I didn't know what to do to make it work, so it's just been blank for 2-3 years. So just like the backdrop, and I'm not gonna. There's no way to get around it and make it look good. So that's probably reason number 2. So back here you can see this gray area. This is actually concrete. That's the foundation of the building. Originally, way back when I first started the layout, there was a plywood backdrop here that went to here, like 1/4-inch Luan, and that's where the layout ended because of this. And at some point I decided, there's more space back there, let's use it. So I put more track there. I ripped that track up. You can recall that from another video. And then further back is the sill plate for the wall on top of the foundation. So it creates this little stepping effect, which could work. But again, the depth is so deep. It's over 30 inches. I can't reach it. It's very hard to work. It's probably not perfectly level back there. And it just creates an incredible amount of new headaches of like trying to wrap buildings around this 2x6 sill, and then the concrete, so on and so forth. So the track plan itself kind of evolved and changed. I've changed it so many times and added and removed track that it kind of lost its way. It dead ends way down there, and there's basically a main line, a 2-track main line here. It splits up here, and then here's the yard, and then the main line goes towards the back, and the yard's in the front. And I really prefer this look here, where the main line's closer to the front of the layout, and the main line is in the center of whatever depth the layout is, so you can get scenery on both sides. Then back here, it just kind of gets lost. It's, again, unreachable. There's some turnouts back here. I can barely reach them over there. And it just loses its sense of the main line. And it really seems to be, it needs to be the main thread throughout the layout, and it gets lost in this mess here. So that's another thing I want to, when I redo the layout, the main line will be a little bit more defined. It works over here because I defined it with these walls and made sort of a corridor, a space, a defined space, and that's kind of what I wanted it to look like. But it's only in this section, then it just gets lost. This yard, I'm actually going to try and save it, at least these 4 or 5 tracks. This whole section here I'm going to cut out to right about here, wherever we can chop it off, and save it, and then I'm going to flip it where it goes in the new layout. And just for saving track, it's already done. It's going to be a little tricky. Underneath is all 1x4, so I'm going to have to do some chopping away with the Sawzall and a multi-Dremel tool and so forth, but I think we can do it. So again, you can see here, none of this backdrop ever got done or modeled or anything. There's some mock-up stuff there, just placeholders, but nothing serious. Everything done is in the front, and it's nicely modeled because I can reach it. It's much more enjoyable working here. This is a bit of a shame because I just kind of did this over the summer or in the spring, and it came out quite nice. This is a little canal. That I don't know if I can save. That's just going to be, that's right down to the masonite. I'll try. But most of the buildings are on foam, so we're going to take some spackle knives and just kind of pop them up. And this is a 1/2 inch foam here. We might be able to just get a knife under there and slowly lift away, because I don't want to lose all the details. I don't want to just rip the structures up and lose all this stuff. So there are going to be a lot of details that we just need to pluck off and just put in a little bin for now, and then reuse them later. So the biggest scenes to save are this little guy here, this little street scene here. It's about 4 feet or 5 feet, and then I'm going to try to chop up the yard, get that out of one piece. These structures will have to be lifted away probably. This is another shame here. I don't know if I can save this water scene. That's too bad, because I really love how this turned out. Of course, I'll try, especially this little gas station. I think if I get under here, again with a knife, pop up this, chop it out carefully, I can preserve all this stuff, because it'd be a shame to lose that. This never made it to get glued in place, so that's easy to remove. The yard, I'm definitely going to, the scrap yard rather, I'm going to chop away as much as I can to reuse it intact. This is going to be tricky to remove, but it's on a 1.5 inch foam base. These walls, that's a real shame. I used a lot of wood glue. Unfortunately, they're in there pretty good, and I think if I start chipping away at it, they're going to crack and break to the point where I can't reuse them, but that's okay. These highway piers, they'll probably come right up. They're glued in place with some dowels. And then this whole section, which is mostly finished, I'm going to try to chop away this whole section and keep it in one piece. So down this end, nothing here is really glued down. This has all just been, I've been picking it up and putting it around, poking around to see what works and what works best. So this is not a big deal to remove. This is just going to be chopping wood up and storing these structures. And this was another failure of the layout. That's one of the main reasons why I want to redo this. I really wanted a bigger waterfront scene. I've got these piers that I struggled to get in, and I didn't have the space enough to get what I really want, which is pier after pier after pier. And be able to walk around all 3 sides like a peninsula, this big waterfront scene. So that's what I'm going to recreate in my basement with the new layout. So this went to this very unfinished area on the other side, which is 12 to 16 inches of shelf or bench work that goes the length of this wall here. And I'm actually going to keep this for one reason. This bench work, the main 2x4 or the main 1x4 plywood supports here are lag screwed and wood glued to the 2x4 studs behind the sheetrock. So it's pretty solid. I mean, you can walk on this, it's not going anywhere. So if I had to remove it, it'd be a real pain in the neck. But what I'm going to do is probably rip up all the HO track. It's not been ballasted, so I can save it, and probably build an ON30 layout here. I've been wanting to do that for a while. I didn't really have the space, so I will do that on this side, I think. So what's going to happen on this side, this will all be gone. I'm going to move the 3D printing that's out in the main shop space into here, 3D printing, hydrocal casting, and probably my little desk and office, which is behind that wall. It's really a closet. It's 4 feet wide by 7 feet. It's enough to fit a computer and a chair, and it's just kind of claustrophobic. It was meant to be a closet, so I'm going to move my office space back out here, and that'll free up the shop outside. Let's take a look there. So all of this area, these 2 metal rack shelves, this is all 3D printing, and it takes up a lot of space, as you can see. And then behind it are this little nook here. It's like a 10 by 12 space. That's all hydrocal printing mostly. I need more space for more tables to pack kits and some more woodworking tools that I want to add to the layout. So it's going to open up this whole area in the shop, which is a big, big space. So I'm actually okay with the idea of tearing the layout down. I know it was a lot of work, and it's been a couple of years. I invested a lot of time and some money into it, but I also learned quite a bit, which is great. It's all been a big learning experience. And the new layout will be going into the basement. It'll be a little inconvenient. Of course, all my tools are here, my laser cutters, the whole shop is here, but I'll set up a little satellite workbench to build models over there and do some scenery work. Anything big like bench work here, big bench work sections to build the layout, I'll build in this shop, carry it over. It's not that big a deal. And the trade-off is I get a dedicated room where I can close the door. There's no dust here. It's pretty dirty. It gets dusty. So this track has been filthy all the time. So that is yet another reason to move the layout. I want to thank our Patreon supporters. I've been a little lax in posting there with what's happened in the last few months, but I'm getting back into it as I go, and we'll be posting more pictures of what we're doing here with the layout, tearing it down, building the new layout. I'm working on a new track plan that I've been posting on Patreon. It keeps changing until I refine it to what I really want. So take a look at that and check out our website. We've got over 100 kits. You might find one you like that you could use for your layout, and we'll see you next time. Thanks for watching.